scenes and applying them to your classes in GoGuardian. So basically what a scene is it's a list of either allowed websites or blocked websites. These lists can be created and shared with other teachers. You'll notice that some of my lists are already shared with other people, or they can be used just with you. But scenes can be used for any class and they can be applied to any classroom. So let's take a look at creating a scene. There's two different types of scenes that you can make. One is an allowed list and one is a blocked list. So here's an example of creating an allowed list would be if I wanted to create, let's say, a secure testing environment for Schoology tests. And this is a good example because it shows some extra sites that I recommend putting in when there's a Google login. So I'm just going to call this Schoology testing scene. Okay, and you can add a color to your scene if you want to, and then you go ahead and click next. And here's where we add the websites that we want to allow because students will be blocked from everything except for the sites that we allow here. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to go to Schoology, and our specific Schoology URL is fmschools.schoology.com. So I want to make sure that I include this. So I'm just going to highlight that and then copy, do control copy, or I can right click and say copy. And I am going to come back here and I'm going to paste that into my list and go ahead and search. Now, when you see fmschools.schoology.com, it's showing as a Google sign-in page. So I want to add that as an allowed list, and I want this to automatically open. So when I apply the scene, that login screen automatically pops up on the student's screens. Now, when you're dealing with Schoology and Google, there's a couple of caveats. Because we have our own special Schoology URL, you do need to add that, but you also do need to add, if I just type in Schoology here, I also want to add the Schoology.com and also the app.schoology.com. Every once in a while in the background, Schoology is accessing their generic sites, and so we don't want our students to be blocked. And so anything related to Schoology, I want to add in this allow list. And then in addition to this Google sign-in page, if there's a Google sign-in, I usually also always add Google accounts. And it's accounts.google.com that I add. And this will just make sure that they're not going to be blocked at any Google login page. Now, in addition to the allow sites, I can also put a tab limit for students. So I could say, you know what? Students are only allowed to have 2 tabs open. So if I set that, if they try to open a third tab, they're going to be blocked. So if I hit save now, basically, if I was to start a class, say if I said start a class, I can come up here and apply the scene that I just made, which is the Schoology testing scene. And as soon as I apply that, it's going to apply to the student computers that are in my class. Now I'm going to go ahead and end that session for a moment. And it looks like I have a second session open, so I'm going to end that. So let's just take a closer look at the scenes that I have. The trickiest one is the Schoology testing scene because you have to add the extra sites for both Schoology as well as for the Google login. But here's an example of a site that we made for another teacher who's doing some activities in this site called Linked. This is a language site. If you notice in this allowed list, the only link that we have is the link to the website that she wants the students to use, and we have it as automatically opened. So when this scene is added to a classroom and it's launched, the students are automatically going to be opened up to this particular website. And then they would be able to choose their class and go ahead and do the activities. If they try to go to any other website, they're going to be blocked. So a scene is a great option for saving time in class by having sites that you want to use open automatically. It's great for creating secure testing environments. And if you're interested in these, I have several Schoology testing scenes. They all are the exact same, but I'm happy to share them with anyone. So if you do Schoology assessments, I can share these with you and you don't even have to recreate them. If someone shares with you, you will get a message and you will be, when you accept the shared scene, it will automatically populate right here with all of the other scenes that you've created. You can also create scenes where you block websites. So if you've noticed that students are constantly playing a particular game during your class and you want that blocked, you can just go ahead and create a block list. And the same thing, you just create a name for your list, you add a color, and then the websites that you add are going to be sites that are going to be blocked by the students. And you just generate your list. You can also have a tab limit as well so that the students could only open specific tabs if you want to, and then go ahead and save. And then once you've created your scenes, you can add them to any class. Now, one thing I want to mention is that if you go to the settings of a class, you can actually set a default scene for any of your classes. So if I was to say, this default scene is going to be the Schoology testing scene, you'll notice that anytime that I start this class now, it's automatically going to have this scene applied. Now, I can turn it off and disable the scene at any time if I want to, but it's going to automatically start the class with that scene. You can add or disable a scene in your class on the fly at any time by just going into your class and coming here, and either you can create a new scene on the fly, I can apply an existing scene I've already created, or I can disable the scene and it will automatically change for the students. It's a good opportunity for you to try creating a scene and applying it to a class when you're practicing with your students, and just see how this works for them.